Well, in our last class, previous class, I had given an explanation of what these triple soul forces are, looking at them from different angles. From the angle of psychology, from the angle of the Upanishads, and now we will see what exactly is depicted in the canto itself. And of this we have done the first part, that is to say, the dialogue of the mother of sorrows. If you remember, each one of these soul forces, she tells Savitri, I am thy secret soul. That's what is important to understand. How is it that each of these mothers, mother of sorrows, mother of might, mother of peace, each one of them is claiming to be part, I am thy secret soul, part of Savitri's soul, and yet Savitri tells in the end that one day I will return, a bringer of strength, and make thee drink from the eternal cup. Kind of, we see there is a kind of a fulfillment. Each time Savitri brings in a greater transcendental force and fulfills what this mother of sorrows is not able to do. Because what we have discussed, if you remember, is that each of these mothers, mother of course is the Shakti, the divine energy, the divine consciousness that is embedded in man's consciousness, and because of this energy and this Shakti that humanity is able to bear with its sorrows and problems and struggles and all the asuric energies. But in spite of this divine energy being there in the physical or the physical vital, human beings, they revolt, they rebel. They don't surrender, they don't accept fully this energy. So that is the conflict we will see in all the three aspects of the three mothers. The first mother, mother of sorrow, says, I am here helping mankind, as it says. There's a whole long description which I don't want to repeat here. It says, I am the nurse of the dolor beneath the stars. I am the soul of all who wailing writhe under the ruthless harrow of the gods. I am woman, nurse and slave and beaten beast. I tend the hands that give me cruel blows, etc., etc. There's a whole long passage. And then we see this man of sorrows, who is the man, the human being, representing, as we say in Sanskrit, Pisacha. Pisacha is you see in Sanskrit there are three beautiful words depicting three levels of anti-divine forces. The lowest one is called the Pisacha. Pisacha is that anti-divine or the falsehood on the level of the physical vital. Pisacha on the level of the vital mental is called the Asura. And then of course on the mental and the mental level purely we call it the Titan. So this is the level of the Pisacha, the beast in man, which revolts, which rebels. So we have had both these conversations in our last class. So today we shall take up the next aspect, where we see the mental man, the mind of the mother of might, where she sustains the mental man, but again the arrogance of the mind, the arrogance of the logical mind, it again rebels. So what we see in this canto is the divine aspect of the human being, and at the same time the devil, the Pishacha, the Asuric forces. The devil and the divine both are being depicted in this canto. So both are brought out in their highest or in their foulest mood. Because here Savitri has come to transform them. Not just to listen to their voices, but is kind of each one of is telling Savitri that I am so and so, but I cannot change. I have the might, but I don't have the power, the peace, the love to save. I have the peace, but I don't have the strength. So each one of them is telling Savitri what they lack. And Savitri, she says, I will come back. Why is it? What is the meaning of I will come back? Because please remember, Savitri is still in search of her soul. She has not yet gotten to the realization of her soul. And she knows once she realizes the soul, she will get in contact with the transcendental divine. And once she has the transcendental divine, then she has the power, the energy, the Shakti needed to transform. So she says, I'll come back, means after going to the soul, I will return. And on my return journey, I will bring you the necessary forces. So that's the theme of this canto. So let's take up the second passage here. On passed she in her spirit's upward route. An ardent grandeur climbed mid ferns and rocks. A quiet wind flattered the heart to warmth. A finer perfume breathed from slender trees. All beautiful grew, subtle and high and strange. Here on a boulder carved like a huge throne, a woman sat in gold and purple sheen, armed with the trident and the thunderbolt, her feet upon a couchant lion's back. A formidable smile curved round her lips, heaven fire locked in the corners of her eyes. Her body a mass of courage and heavenly strength. She menaced the triumph of the nether gods. I'm sure those of you who have the little bit of the background of Indian culture, you will see the description of Durga here. I mean, especially as Durga is depicted in Bengal. Her feet upon a couchant lion's back, because here we see Durga sitting on the back of the lion, of the tiger. And then this line is very beautiful because we see all the statues of Durga, a formidable smile curved round her lips. Durga has a fantastic smile, but the smile of confidence, the smile of the victory, and then her heaven fire laughed in the corners of her eyes. And then, of course, if you know, some of you may know, Durga is a creation of all the powers of all the Godheads. That's why she is a special force. Because of these Asuric forces which are dominant upon this earth, gods go to Brahma and say, the earth is besieged by the evil forces, send us your Shakti. So there is not one force that can really conquer the falsehood. So all the gods, they contribute their best might. The Shiva gives the trident, Indra gives something, some other gods, Agni gives something. So she is a combination of the best energies, the best forces of all the Godheads. That's why she is so powerful. So she is kind of the Mahakali that Aurobindo describes in his Dear Mother. She is not just Kali, that Mahakali, she is the supreme goddess, the supreme aspect of the divine, who, as Aurobindo would later describe, she menaced the triumph of the nether gods, and she is a body of mass of courage and heavenly strength. A halo of lightnings flamed around her head, and sovereignty a great cestus zoned her robe. Success is a girdle, and sovereignty a great girdle zoned her robe, and majesty and victory sat with her, guarding in the wide cosmic battlefield against the flat equality of death and the all-leveling insurgent night, the hierarchy of the ordered powers, the high changeless values, the peaked eminences, the privileged aristocracy of truth, and in the governing ideal sun, the triumvirate of wisdom, love and bliss, and the sole autocracy of the absolute light. So Aurobindo calls her here the mother of might, because in our own Indian terminology we call her Durga. So we have seen the different aspect, her power over death and night and power and the bliss that she carries. Now we see the description. August on her seat in the inner world of mind. You see, that's the place we see. She is placed in the mental consciousness. The mother of might looked down on passing things, listened to the advancing tread of time, saw the irresistible wheeling of the suns, and heard the thunder of the march of God. Amid the swaying forces in their strife, sovereign was her word of luminous command. Her speech, like a war cry, rang or a pilgrim chant. A charm restoring hope in failing hearts aspired the harmony of her puissant voice. If you remember, some of you may recollect what Aurobindo describes in the Mother about Mahakali. It is basically this same consciousness, what he will describe in brief, but it carries the same force, the same power that Aurobindo describes here. So, let's understand now, Savitri has come down to the level of the mind, that means not the mind per se, but as we said, in the subliminal level, the inner mind. So there she meets again this divine energy which is there behind all this mental consciousness. So it is supporting all the creations of the mind. So we see, O Savitri, I am thy secret soul. This is very interesting. Aurobindo repeats this thrice, that I am thy secret soul. Because ultimately each one of them is part of the divine transcendental Savitri. That is the ultimate truth. So each one of them saying, I am thy sacred soul. I have come down into the human world, and the movement watched by an unsleeping eye, and the dark contrariety of earth's fate, and the battle of the bright and somber powers. I stand upon earth's paths of danger and grief, and help the unfortunate and save the doomed. To the strong I bring the guerdon of their strength. Guerdon is a reward. To the strong I bring the guerdon of their strength. To the weak I bring the armor of my force. To men who long I carry their coveted joy. I am fortunate, justifying the great and wise. I am fortune, justifying the great and wise by the sanction of the plaudits of the crowd. Then trampling them with the armed heel of fate. You see, this is not difficult to understand, because we do see such action in our world, that how the strong get their reward, how the weak get protected. All this protection and all this that is there, that the help that comes from the divine hand. So what is important to understand is, apart from this poetic description and the very powerful description of each of these personalities, what we begin to understand is the constant, continuous hand of the divine behind all our struggles, behind all our problems, behind all our joys. That there is a divinity, as we say, shaping the world at each instant. So that is the impression we get here. My ear is leaned to the cry of the oppressed. I topple down the thrones of tyrant kings. A cry comes from proscribed and hunted lives, appealing to me against a pitiless world, a voice of the forsaken and desolate, and the lone prisoner in his dungeon cell. You see about the toppling of the kings, helping of the prisoners. Everywhere it is Durga, it is her energy that is almost sustaining us, Men hail in my coming the Almighty's force, or praise with thankful tears His Saviour grace. You see, this men hail in my coming the Almighty's force is typically what happens in Durga Puja. Every year, the Durga Puja is celebrated because it is the coming down of this divine energy to the earth to kill the Asura. So this celebration is done repeatedly every year because exactly of this, men hail in my coming the Almighty's force. I smite the Titan who bestrides the world and slay the ogre in his blood-stained den. I am Durga, there you are, the word comes here. I am Durga, goddess of the proud and strong, and Lakshmi, queen of the fair and fortunate. I wear the face of Kali when I kill. I trample the corpses of the demon hordes. I am charged by God to do His mighty work. Uncaring, I serve His will who sent me forth, reckless of peril and earthly consequence. I reason not of virtue and of sin, but do the deed He has put into my heart. I fear not for the angry frown of heaven. I flinch not from the red assault of hell. I crush the opposition of the gods, tread down 1,000,000 goblin obstacles. I guide man to the path of the divine and guard him from the red wolf and the snake. See, these, of course, in Greek mythology, they are the powers of the netherworld represented by wolf and snake. So you can see it's not very difficult to understand how this Durga, this Kali, this Lakshmi, all these goddesses are really protecting humanity, helping humanity's evolution. So, to continue. I set in his mortal hand my heavenly sword and put on him the breastplate of the gods. I break the ignorant pride of human mind and lead the thought to the wideness of the truth. I rend man's narrow and successful life and force his sorrowful eyes to gaze at the sun, that he may die to earth and live in his soul. You see, it's a very dangerous thing. We can understand here. I rend man's narrow and successful life. See, it is Durga who brings in this kind of a calamity when you are very successful, when the success makes you blind, the ego, the success makes you blind, then a calamity comes upon you. Something or the other happens. Because, as she says, that he may die to earth and live in his soul. So, each of these calamities is a kind of an eye-opener and to say, look, all these experiences are there to make your soul grow. It's not you become blind with your success and with your money and with your comfort. So there's a meaning in each of these sorrowful eyes. I know the goal. I know the secret route. I have studied the map of the invisible worlds. I am the battle's head, the journey's star. But the great obstinate world resists my word. Now here comes the incapacity of this Durga. But the great obstinate world resists my word, and the crookedness and evil in man's heart is stronger than reason, profounder than the pit, and the malignancy of hostile powers puts craftily back the clock of destiny, and mightier seems than the eternal will. Now this is the problem. See, Durga is able to do all that, she is able to conquer everything, purify, but as Aurobindo writes in the Mother, that human beings bring back the Asura, the lower forces, as if from the back gate. So this has been the eternal struggle. We implore the Divine and ask the Divine to help us, purify us and all that. But the moment that upward prayer vanishes, we come back to the ordinary normal life and bring back the same evil, the same falsehood, the same lie that has been purified. So Aurobindo warns many a time in the book The Mother that this is the main difficulty with man. So the battle repeats again and again and again and again. Because that is what was my question. Why do we celebrate the coming of Durga every year? Now we get the reason that we get back this falsehood. We invite it from the back door. So it happens in sadhana, it happens in ordinary life, it happens every time that we get back the evil. So Durga is complaining the same thing. So the crookedness and evil in man's heart is stronger than reason, profounder than the pit. And the malignancy of hostile powers puts craftily back the clock of destiny, and mightier seems than the eternal will. The cosmic evil is too deep to unroot. The cosmic suffering is too vast to heal. A few are guide who pass me towards the light. A few I save. The mass falls back unsaved. A few I help. The many strive and fail. But my heart I have hardened, and I do my work. Slowly the light grows greater in the east. Slowly the world progresses on God's road. His seal is on my task, it cannot fail. I shall hear the silver swing of heaven's gates when God comes out to meet the soul of the world. This is the tragedy with the divine work, that the cosmic suffering is too vast to heal, the cosmic evil is too deep to unroot. So that apparently is the work of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo. To uproot this evil from the level of the inconscient and the subconscious itself. That's why on the individual level it's fine. A few I guide, a few I save, a few I help. Individually people have gone to higher worlds, but on the cosmic universal level, mankind has remained the same because the roots are too deep in the inconscient. And that is the struggle of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo when they said, we are digging deep into the inconscient and the subconscient so as to uproot the evil from there. Otherwise, and in fact, that is the conversation, if you remember, Durga had with the Mother. She said, I can't do more than what I am doing. And every year I come, I try to save humanity, but this few, she helps that few only who try to pass towards the higher world. But those few are saved, but the masses remain, as he puts it here, the same, they get back. So Durga says to the Mother that I surrender to you. Now you take up the work, as the last line says, when God comes out to meet the souls of the world. So Durga surrenders to the Mother saying, I give myself to thee now. You are the transcendent Mother. You do the remaining work on the cosmic level. So there is a meaning in that surrendering when Durga says, I will merge myself in you. I don't need any worship, because this external worship, these things annually we celebrate, is all a temporary upliftment. But after that, Durga says, nothing happens. So humanity goes back. So on one of those Durga Puja days when Mother came to give a darshan in the ashram, she literally comes and surrenders. So this must be the meaning of her surrender, At the cosmic level, nothing happens. So Durga says here, I shall await the coming of the gods. The God comes out to meet the soul of the world. That means that I shall await the descent of the avatar who will come and meet mankind. She spoke, and from the lower human world, an answer, a warped echo met her speech. The voice came through the spaces of the mind of the dwarf Titan, the deformed chain god, who strives to master his nature's rebel stuff and make the universe his instrument. The ego of this great world of desire claimed the earth and the wide heavens for the use of man, head of the life it shapes on earth. Its representative and conscious soul and symbol of evolving light and force, and vessel of the Godhead that must be. A thinking animal, nature's struggling lord, has made of her his nurse and tool and slave, and pays to her as wage and emolument, inescapably by a deep law in things, his heart's grief and his body's death and pain. His pains are her means to grow, to see and feel. His death assists her immortality. A tool and slave of his own slave and tool, he praises his free will and his master mind, and is pushed by her upon her chosen paths. Possessor, he is possessed, and ruler, ruled. Her conscious automaton, her desires dupe. Well, we can see here a beautiful description of the human being, especially the mental man. A thinking animal, nature's struggling lord. How he's a slave actually here. And all his pains and sorrows are a kind of a ransom he pays for his living. His soul is her guest, a sovereign's mute inert, his body her robot, his life her way to live, his conscious mind her strong revolted serf. The voice rose up and smote some inner sun. This is now, remember, the voice of the Titan, the voice of the human mind, the arrogant human mind, and it revolts. Now this is again very powerful. You see how human beings are in reality. I am the heir of the forces of the earth. Slowly I make good my right to my estate. A growing Godhead in a divinized mud. Thank you. I climb a claimant to the throne of heaven. The last born of the earth, I stand the first. Obviously, the last born is the mental man, as being the mental consciousness. But of course, he claims to be the first, the highest, and the best. Her slow millenniums waited for my birth. You see the arrogance of the mind, as if the whole evolution has only one purpose, that is to bring out the human mind. Although I live in time besieged by death, precarious owner of my body and soul, housed on a little speck amid the stars, for me and my use the universe was made. Immortal spirit in the perishing clay, I am God, still unevolved in human form. Even if He is not, He becomes in me. You see, the human mind thinking that it is the center of the world, the whole cosmos is going because of Him. So that is the pride, the mental pride. The sun and moon are lights upon my path. Air was invented for my lungs to breathe. conditioned as a wide and waterless space for my winged chariot's wheels to cleave a road. The sea was made for me to swim and sail and bear my golden commerce on its back. It laughs, cloven by my pleasure's gliding keel. I laugh at its black stare of fate and death. The earth is my floor, the sky my living's roof. All was prepared through many a silent age. God made experiments with animal shapes. Then only when all was ready, I was born. See, this is of course wonderful, and I'm sure this is what was, as I said, my reading of the Bible is not very deep. But I have here something similar in the Upanishad. Thank you. In the you see, it's very interesting, as I was telling you last time on some of my classes. There's a lot of imagery from the Vedas and Upanishads in Savitri. So this single sentence, although it alludes to the Bible, we have a similar idea in the Aitareya Upanishad, that is chapter 1 and section 2. You see, this is where there's a description of the creation of the earth. So in the first part, chapter 1, section 1, there is the description of the creation of the different worlds and the sky and all that, and the moon, the sun, etc. The physical earth. Then the second part says, these were the gods that he created. They fell into this great ocean, and hunger and thirst leaped upon them. Then they said to him, command unto us an habitation that we may dwell secure and eat of food. That's the gods, like the mother also tells us the story. The gods were first created, and now they say the world is there and we are there, but we need a habitation. We need to live in something. So give us that form where we can inhabit. So he is the supreme. He brought unto them the cow, but they said, verily it is not sufficient for us. He brought unto them the horse, but they said, verily it is not enough for us. He brought unto them man, and they said, oh, well fashioned truly. Man indeed is well and beautifully made. Then the Spirit said unto them, enter ye in each according to his habitation. So when man was formed, the gods were happy with the form, and then the Supreme says, so now you can enter human beings. So this is same exactly what we have in Savitri too, that that there was an experiment made here. God made experiments with animal shapes. Then only when all was ready, I was born. I is the mental man, the human being. And then of course there's the rest of the description. But we have a very beautiful association with this Aitareya Upanishad. And so, but here of course what the mind says is in an egoistic sense, not in the sense that we have in the Upanishad, but here it is the pride, the arrogance of the mind. I was born weak and small and ignorant, a helpless creature in a difficult world, travelling through my brief years with death at my side. I have grown greater than nature, wiser than God. That's why I suppose they said God is dead, The mind is so proud of itself. I have made real what she never dreamed. I have made real what she never dreamed. I have seized her powers and harnessed for my work. I have shaped her metals and new metals made. I will make glass and raiment out of milk, make iron velvet, water unbreakable stone, like God in his astuce of artist skill. Mold from one primal plasm protein forms, in single nature multitudinous lives, all that imagination can conceive, in mind intangible, remold anew in matters plastic, solid and concrete. No magic can surpass my magic skill. There is no miracle I shall not achieve. What God imperfect left, I will complete. Out of a tangled mind and half-made soul, his sin and error I will eliminate. What he invented not, I shall invent. He was the first creator, I am the last. And beautiful irony, man's pride, in this beautifully felt there. I have found the atoms from which he built the worlds, the first tremendous cosmic energy. Mission shall leap to slay my enemies, kin. Expunge a nation, or abolish a race. Death's silence leave where there was laughter and joy. Well, there are close images of Hiroshima here. Or the fissured invisible shall spend God's force to extend my comforts and expand my wealth, to speed my car, which now the lightnings drive, and turn the engines of my miracles. I will take his means of sorcery from his hands and do with them greater wonders than his best. Yet through it all I have kept my balanced thought. I have studied my being, I have examined the world, I have grown a master of the arts of life, I have tamed the world beast, trained to be my friend. He guards my house, looks up waiting my will. I have taught my kind to serve and to obey. Just notice the amount of my and I. Every line carries an I or a my. That's typically the mental man, the ego of the man. I have used the mystery of the cosmic waves to see far distance and to hear far words. I have conquered space and knitted close all earth. I think at that time there was not the web also, but Aurobindo uses the word knitted close all earth, the website and the interneting. Soon I shall know the secrets of the mind. I play with knowledge and with ignorance, and sin and virtue my inventions are. I can transcend or sovereignly use. I shall know mystic truths, seize occult powers. I shall slay my enemies with a look or thought. I shall sense the unspoken feelings of all my hearts, and see and hear the hidden thoughts of men. When earth is mastered, I shall conquer heaven. The gods shall be my aids or mental folk. No wish I harbor unfulfilled shall die. Omnipotence and omniscience shall be mine. Brilliant passage. I think extraordinary passage here, depicting the human mind and the rational mind, I would say. Well, there is a similar passage from This collected poems, volume 5. Is a beautiful letter here. I forgot to note the number, page number. Well, I'll maybe bring it next time. I forgot the page. Well, similarly, we have Aurobindo's description here. In a longish poem, maybe I think, let me try. Yeah, I think I got it. There's a poem called A Vision of Science. That's on page 42 of this volume 5. This is it's the same experience, the same pride, and you see a very beautiful description. Here, a vision of science. I dreamed that in myself the world I saw, wherein three angels strove for mastery. Law was one, clear vision and denial cold, yet inner limit strong, presumptuous, bold. The second, with enthusiasm bright, flame in her heart, but round her brows the night faded as this advanced. She could not bear that searching gaze, nor the strong chilling air these thoughts created, nourishing our parts of mind, but petrifying human hearts. Science was one, the other gave her name religion, but a third behind them came, veiled, vague, remote, and had as yet no right upon the world, but lived in her own light. Wide were the victories of the angel proud, who conquered now and in her praise were loud the nations. I mean, you can understand the three angels. First were the religion, then comes science, and then the third one, spirituality, is yet shy, doesn't have a hold upon earth. So the description is of these three angels. So the third behind them came, veiled, vague, remote, and had as yet no right upon the world, but lived in her own light. Wide were the victories of the angel proud, science, who conquered now and in her praise were loud the nations. Few even yet to the other clove, and some were souls of night, and some were souls of love. But this was confident and thrown. Her heralds ranged, claiming that night was dead and all things changed. For all things opened, all seemed clear, seemed bright, save the vast ranges that they left in night. However, the light they shed upon the earth was great indeed, a firm and mighty birth. A century's progress lived before my eyes, delivered from amazement and surprise, man's spirit measuring his worlds around, the loss of sight divined and loss of sound. Light was not hidden from its searching gaze, nor matter could deny her myriad maze to the cold enquiry. You see, all that is this domain of science. For the far came near, the small loomed large, the intricate grew clear, measuring and probing, the strong angels trod, dissolving and combining, till she trod firmly among the stars, could wave their forms, foretold the earthquakes, analyze the storms. Doubt seemed to end, and wonder's reign was closed. The stony pages of the earth disclosed their unremembered secrets. Horses of steam were bitted, and the lightnings made a team to draw our chariots. All the discoveries of train and planes and all that. Heaven was scaled at last, and the loud seas subdued. Distance resigned its strong obstructions to the mastering mind. So moved that spirit trampling. Then it laid its hand at last upon itself. How this was made, wondering, and sought to class and sought to trace, mind by its form, the wearer by the dress. Then the other arose, and met that spirit's robust, who labored. She now grew a shade, who must fade wholly away, yet to her fellow cried, I pass, for thou hast labored well and wide. Thou thinkest term and end for thee are not. But though thy pride is great, thou hast forgot the sphinx that waits for man beside the way. I hope you understood the twist here. The science goes conquering the outer world. But then when it turned its gaze towards itself, that who am I? Who is this human being? There it could not find the solution. Until now the heaven, the seas, the skies, everything it conquered. But within itself, wanting to know what he was or the being, there comes spirituality. And then it says, but though thy pride is great, thou hast forgot the sphinx that waits for man beside the way. All questions thou mayst answer, but one day her question shall await thee. Because the question of the sphinx, the real puzzle of the sphinx. And then the sphinx says, if you don't answer this question, you will be dead. So that is the ultimate question. Who is this man? What is this man? That reply, as all we must, for they who cannot die. She slays them, and their mangled bodies lie upon the highways of eternity. Therefore, if thou wouldst live, know first this thing, who thou art in this dungeon laboring. So unless and until we know the secrets of man, we cannot continue to exist. In fact, there's a small story. It seems once a Buddhist monk went to Greece, and there he met one of the Socratic disciples, and he asked the disciple, what is it that you people are looking for? So the Socratic disciple, he says, obviously, for the secrets of the world, how to conquer this extra world, eternal world, external world. Then the Buddhist laughed. He said, then the Socratic disciple says, why are you laughing? Isn't it all true that what I'm trying to do? He says, you're trying to know all these things, but in order to know all this world, you have to know the Supreme, the Transcendent. So then he explains, saying, without knowing the Supreme Transcendent, you cannot know this multiplicity. So he says, in India, we go in search of the Supreme. Because in the whole story in Upanishad, there are many lines there where we see lot of this research, searching souls, they say, what is it? Which having known, I shall know all else. That's the Brahman. So he says, this Buddhist monk also says, we have to know that supreme secret, that supreme being. Only then can we know secrets of this universe. It's a similar thing here. The spirituality is telling us that who thou art in this dungeon laboring, you must know ultimately who you are. Rest of it, the dungeon, the secrets, the world, those are not important. So, and science confidently says, nothing am I but earth, tissue and nerve, and from the seed a birth, a mold, a plasm, a gas, a little that is such much. In these grey cells that quiver to each touch, the secret lies of man. They are the thing called I. You see, that is the answer of science, saying, these cells, this is me, this is I. Matter insists and matter makes reply. Shakespeare was this force in Jesus yearned and conquered by the cross. This only learned the secret of the suns that blaze afar. This was Napoleon's giant mind of war. I heard and marveled in myself to see the infinite deny infinity. Yet the weird paradox seemed justified. Even mysticism shrank out mystified. But the third angel came and touched my eyes. I saw the mornings of the future rise. I heard the voices of an age unborn that comes behind us and our pallid morn. And from the heart of an approaching light, one said to man, know thyself infinite. Who shall do mightier miracles than these? Infinite, moving mid infinities. Then from our hills the ancient answer pealed, for thou, O splendor, art myself concealed, and the grey cell contains me not. The star I outmeasure, and am older than the elements are. Whether on earth or far beyond the sun, I, stumbling, clouded, and the eternal one. It's interesting to see. This is one of the very early poems in his collected works. When he had just, this is the period is 1908. So you can imagine Aurobindo's understanding of science and spirituality, the third angel, long before he came to Pondicherry. So that's the same vision that we see being repeated, of course, in an elaborate manner in Savitri. So let's get back to the Savitri here. So science, the ultimate, you see, the greatest betrayal of his pride and arrogance, omnipotence and omniscience shall be mine. And Savitri heard the voice, the warped ego heard, and turning to her being of power she spoke, Madonna of might, mother of works and force, thou art a portion of my soul put forth to help mankind and help the travail of time. Because thou art in him, man hopes and dares. Because thou art, men's souls can climb the heavens and walk like gods in the presence of the Supreme. But without wisdom, power is like a wind. It can breathe upon the heights and kiss the sky. It cannot build extreme eternal things. Thou hast given men strength. Wisdom thou couldst not give. One day I will return, a bringer of light. Then I will give to thee the mirror of God. Thou shalt see self and world as by him they are seen, reflected in the bright pool of thy soul. Thy wisdom shall be vast, as vast thy power. So you have understood, I am sure, that this mental being, the mental consciousness, has the power and the strength, but not the wisdom. So Savitri is assuring that thy wisdom shall be vast as vast thy power. Then hate shall dwell no more in human hearts, and fear and weakness shall desert men's lives. The cry of the ego shall be hushed within, its lion roar that claimed the world as food. All shall be might and bliss and happy force. That's the promise of Savitri to this mental being, to this mental consciousness, or to this Madonna of might, saying, you have the might, you have the power, you have the force, but not the wisdom. And that wisdom, Savitri says, I will bring. So we go through the second one, we'll take up the next one, third one next time. And in the third one, we'll see is the Madonna of peace. I mean, that is where we explained last time. We have seen the physical, the vital, the mental Purushas. But then Savitri also hears the voice of the Madonna of peace and delight. That's her first sign of her psychic being. Because it is the psychic being which can bring in that peace and delight. But yet, you see, again it is incomplete. Even a psychic realization is not complete. So, Savitri has to bring in something more. Again, the power of the spiritual, transcendental consciousness. Well, we will take this up next time. But next time is not next Monday. I think I came to know 70% of Aurovillians are gone out or going out for summer. So I thought, why make them miss? So we will miss 2 classes, 1st of June and 8th of June I will be missing. I am going out again for some talks. So I will be back for the 15th of June, that's the 3rd Monday of June. So from after today we will not meet again till 15th of June. So that's when we shall take up the third aspect, that of the Madonna of peace. So after this, of course, this was comparatively a simpler thing because it is the direct conversation and the direct dialogue. But then Canto 5 is the real issue, the real one, the finding of the soul. That will be the most complex, intricate and the most interesting one. Yes, let us see. Let's follow that. And I wanted to thank Martin for letting the information of Sakar on the internet. There are some responses there. And let's see, we have a camp in June coming up. Yeah, let's have the concentration.